let's go to our last story. You know, 6 days hence, the President Muhammadu Buhari government would bow out of office. Well, granted, his scorecard is a mixed bag, yet his legacy in the area of infrastructure development remains indomitable. That cannot be overpowered. The second Niger bridge, conceptualized in 2005, but completed and ready for use by the present administration, has been officially inaugurated, along with 6 other legacy projects undertaken by the Federal Ministry of Works. The others include 2 major bridges and 3 federal secretariats, plus a ring road. At least the attempt at tackling infrastructure deficit is a bold one. Or what do you say?
Well, you can say anything about Buhari. This is a president who has done very well in the area of infrastructure. We see the result of money well utilized. When he was looking for money to complete the Lagos-Badon Expressway as well as the second Niger bridge, because when Fashola interviewed Fashola, and he told me that Mr. President called him and said, see, there are 3 roads that you may have your own ideas about what you want to do in this ministry, but 3 roads are important to me, and I want to complete them. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the second Niger bridge, and the Kaduna, and the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano highway. You know, that's the first dual carriageway in northern Nigeria. It was IBB that completed it at that time. But what this president has done is to completely rebuild the road, to the point that in some cases, even bridges had to be pulled down so that they can do a fresh one or even bypassed. So I was in Kano the other day. I saw the quality of the work, and I'm like, wow, it's so beautiful what they are doing. I call it complete, what's it called? Complete rebuilding, reconstruction. So hopefully they've done 200 kilometers out of 360 kilometers.
Of 160 more?
Yeah, so they've now inaugurated the completed part. The incoming administration will be able to put that road to bed. But he has completed others. At the second Niger bridge, fantastic. I did a documentary about it. Fantastic road. Even Julius Baja introduced new technology in dealing with the swampy area of that road. Yes, you know. So you cannot say that the president has not done well in that area. The local Water Bridge is going to reduce travel time by people moving from the southeast to Abuja and other areas. We're going to reduce travel time by at least 3 hours. You know, the bridge is over the Benue River, you know, around connects Nasarawa with Benue. Yes. And those traveling from the east using that road, they will save 3 hours of travel time.
And that's quite some time.
Yes, and don't also forget, NDLA officials are being murdered. The operatives are being murdered. And the president has said, okay, let's build barracks for them. So they are going to have their own barracks so that their staff can be localized in one area.
One place.
And that way, their lives will be a lot more secure.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about even other infrastructure that this man has delivered, airports and all that. So he has really done well in the area of infrastructure. You know, he has really done well. And I know that Nigerians will not forget him in that area. Yes, some of them are being named after him. The second Niger bridge has been named after him. Even if projects are not named after Buhari, people will remember that he was the one who completed those projects, who delivered those projects. History will be kind to him in that area and some of his failures and frailties will be overlooked.
We live to posterity. Yinka, the secretariat at Oka is one of the legacy projects we understand is going to commission.
You know that...
and two other ones.
That will be the
one
first.
in Bayelsa, the other one in Zamfara.
Those states, since they were created, have had no federal secretariat. So it's a project that will bear his name. I mean, that at least it was under...
His imprint.
Exactly, that it was completed. And as BKO has said, when you look at the governments we have had since the return of democracy, and you look at the issue of infrastructure.
And the deficit.
The deficit is also part of it. But let us look at that infrastructure first. Whether they are worth the deficit is another matter entirely. Okay. But we look at it and say, yes, this man has done good. There are some areas in which he has failed. He's human, because there is no way any human being can, in fact, no government can complete any project. No, even if you have all the resources in the world, you cannot complete all, and you cannot be, your government can never satisfy every strata of the society. As we are talking of infrastructure now.
That's the second Niger bridge.
Yeah, take a look. Then, another thing we should talk about is also maintenance.
Maintenance, yeah.
Because Nigeria...
This one will be told now, so hopefully...
we have that beauty of doing...
This is the old bridge.
This is the old one.
And the gridlock.
I remember when I was doing my youth service in Anambra, old Anambra State, we used to pass through, it's terrible, hours. But that is a foregone conclusion now, hopefully. So, as I was saying, there are those who will look at that side. It's like when you have a cup. Some will see it half full, and some will see it half empty, depending on which side of the divide they belong.
That's it.
Infrastructure, Buhari has done very well, but there are also those who have lost loved ones who will
avoidably.
Exactly. Who will tell you that what is infrastructure? If I have my this and is alive. So, give and take. History will judge him, but as we always say, who writes history? History is written
by man.
And man will take materials from sources. So it depends on which source you take your material.
Yeah.
So that's what we determine the kind of history you are going to write.
Yeah. You see, in 6 days, he would have completed his tour of duty, 8 years. The future generations would remember his legacy projects.
Yes.
And they ask questions and so on. It will go into the history books.
Yes, and infrastructure is one way by which you can even stimulate economic growth in an area. For example, where people lack roads and they are very good in agriculture, how do they move their produce to urban centers where they will be sold? That's why it's important to take infrastructure development to the nooks and crannies of our country, so that this inclusion that we are talking about will not simply be about putting people in the various offices. Yeah. Inclusion, when you are talking about national inclusion issue, mean that development is taken
everywhere
to the vulnerable, vulnerable societies, vulnerable communities. Why are criminal headsmen able to kill people and get away with it in Plateau and other places? A lot of those communities those remote communities,
inaccessible.
they do not have roads.
Yeah.
So even if you raise alarm,
Before
before help comes, the birds will have flown.
They have flown.
So this is the problem.
All right, gentlemen, we must go here and now. But let me thank Yinka Oyegbile for coming.
Thank you very much.
Biko, many thanks.